The WNBA rolled out the red carpet for Brittney Griner's return, but what they got wasn't a comeback story. Instead of uplifting the league, Griner's making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stand?
Let's just say, this isn't the same Griner from years ago. After international headlines, time behind bars, and whispers about drug use and hormonal treatments, she's returned with a chip on her shoulder and something to prove. But instead of elevating the game, she's throwing elbows, taking shots at rookies like Caitlin Clark, and making comments that feel less like veteran wisdom and more like bitterness. So here's the real question: did the WNBA bring back a role model or just ignite a mess they can't clean up? Drop your take in the comments. Did the league gamble too hard on Griner, or is this exactly what they want? Because now it's getting harder to ignore the pattern. When Brittney Griner was arrested in Russia in February 2022 after vape cartridges containing cannabis oil were found in her luggage at Sheremetyevo Airport, she described it as a mental lapse. Throughout the ordeal, Griner maintained that the incident was accidental, and in a 20/20 interview, she emphasized that the vape cartridges simply slipped into her bag. And look, maybe it was. But it wasn't just a minor mistake. It happened in a country known for harsh drug laws, during the build-up to a war, and amid rising US-Russia tensions. The timing couldn't have been worse. What followed wasn't a sabbatical. It was nearly 10 brutal months in a Russian prison, marked by isolation, language barriers, and the constant uncertainty of whether she'd ever be released. Still, the US launched a full-scale diplomatic campaign to bring her home. Griner's celebrity status and public profile turned her into a political chess piece. And in December 2022, it worked. President Biden agreed to trade Griner for Viktor Bout, a Russian arms dealer called Merchant of Death, who is so dangerous that he once inspired the film Lord of War. Griner came home to applause and fanfare. The WNBA held tributes. Jerseys sold out. The media couldn't get enough of her resilience. But once the welcome parties ended, a far more uncomfortable conversation began. What exactly was the league celebrating? Let's be honest, the situation didn't sit right with everyone. Some veterans were furious that Paul Whelan, a former US Marine who'd been imprisoned in Russia since 2018, wasn't included in the deal. He was left behind, again, while an athlete who admitted to carrying drugs walked free. Even Whelan's own family publicly questioned why their brother was overlooked. And there was the issue of Griner's loyalty, or lack of it. In interviews before her arrest, Griner had been openly critical of the US, saying she wouldn't stand for the national anthem. But after spending 10 months in a Russian prison, she reversed course, saying she'd never play other than for America. Was it a change of heart, or convenient claims?
Never going overseas to play again unless I'm representing my country at the Olympics,
Griner declared that she'd only play in the WNBA, refusing to ever again go overseas. On paper, it made sense after her time in Russian detention. Who could blame her? But behind the scenes, it rubbed some people the wrong way. WNBA players have long relied on overseas contracts to make real money, with many spending off-seasons in Europe and Asia. Griner had done the same until she became the exception. Now, she had endorsement deals, media interviews, book royalties, and White House invites. But for the rest of the league? Still grinding, still flying commercial, and still underpaid. Next, the debate around her physical dominance came rushing. Griner is 6'9", with an elite wingspan, elite strength, and shot-blocking ability that makes her a constant mismatch in the post. Some fans and anonymous players began suggesting her size gave her an unfair advantage in the women's league. The whispers grew louder online. People questioned whether her presence distorted competitive balance. Even more eyebrow-raising were the claims questioning her gender. Despite identifying as a cisgender woman, trolls and conspiracists flooded social media with accusations, misgendering her in targeted attacks. They even falsely claimed that she was in a male prison in Russia, even though it wasn't true. However, These constant speculations revealed just how polarizing her presence had become. Moreover, despite being a cisgender woman, many critics online have accused her of using hormone treatments to enhance masculine traits. These claims are unfounded, but they've gone viral in forums, comment sections, and conspiracy circles. Trolls point to her height, voice, and physical dominance as supposed evidence, fueling a wave of uncensored speculation. For better or worse, Brittney Griner was no longer just a basketball player. She was a controversy magnet. And now, the latest twist. In June 2024, Griner found herself at the center of yet another controversy, this time during a game against the Atlanta Dream. According to multiple reports, she was involved in a heated altercation with a WNBA official. The details were shaky. The league has kept it quiet, but leaks suggest Griner got into a major dispute during a timeout. There's even video footage circulating online, grainy but damning, showing her allegedly confronting a ref who was passing near her.
Being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys.
And everything she does now reflects on the league. Even die-hard fans couldn't help but comment that it was a foul. Suddenly, the same figure the WNBA had turned into its emotional centerpiece was now becoming a liability. The same player whose face appeared in social justice ads was being investigated for possibly shoving a league official. And the fans noticed. Half the comments were furious that she hadn't been suspended yet. The other half accused the league of covering for her, but the storm didn't stop there. Soon after the official altercation, Griner was back in headlines, this time for what allegedly happened during a tense matchup against Indiana Fever rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. The game was already heated. Clark, coming off a record-breaking college career and bringing massive viewership with her, had been drawing physical play from veterans since day one. But when Griner elbowed her in the paint and reportedly called her a trash white girl, it went viral instantly.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
That pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacted.
Cameras picked up the alleged slur, which she said in the stands after the game without hesitating. The phrase trended online. Commentators were split. Some dismissed it as in-game trash talk, others called it flat-out racist and unsportsmanlike. When asked post-game, Griner first claimed she didn't remember saying it.
So even though you can't remember, you know that was not what you said?
I know it wasn't that because I wouldn't use that type of language.
Okay.
But a few days later, in a follow-up interview, her story changed. "I wouldn't say that. That's not who I am," she told reporters. The denial didn't sit right with many.
I didn't say trash white girl. I said I wish I was a trans white girl. Instead, I'm just a regular guy. My name isn't Brittney, it's Brandon. I had one period my entire life, but I think I actually just spilled cocktail sauce on my boxers. I realized I forgot to shave my sideburns before the game, so I was pissed off about that.
Critics said she was gaslighting the public. Supporters claimed she was being unfairly targeted. But what couldn't be denied was the optics. The WNBA's most controversial player allegedly verbally attacking its most popular rookie and then flip-flopping on her story, and it wasn't an isolated incident. Just weeks later, during a brutal matchup against the Dallas Wings, Griner got into a physical altercation with forward Christina Niguez. The two had tangled in the post before, but this time it escalated. A hard foul turned into a full-on shove, and security had to intervene. Neither player was ejected, but the confrontation left a mark, not just physically but reputational.
And down it goes. And now we've got Brittney Griner going after Niguez, and this could get ugly. Griner is being held back by numerous players and now trying to throw punches. Agler now is being pushed along the sideline on the press row. My goodness.
Griner's aggression was becoming an every-game habit. What used to be called competitive fire was starting to look like unchecked hostility. And for someone the league had put on a pedestal, The cracks were impossible to ignore. Then came the quote that truly blew up. In an interview, when asked about Caitlin Clark's growing impact and rising popularity, Griner didn't hold back. "I think Caitlin Clark is ruining what made the WNBA great," she said. WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. And that's pretty gross. The quote quickly made headlines and triggered even more fans. Supporters of Clark saw it as jealousy. Critics of the league saw it as proof of a toxic culture that resents success if it doesn't come from the right kind of player. Others accused Griner of gatekeeping the sport and turning on someone who had arguably done more for WNBA exposure in 6 months than the league had managed in years. And the irony is that despite everything, despite the shoves, the slurs, the mixed messaging, the WNBA wasn't pushing back, because while Brittney Griner might be a headache, she's also a cash cow. According to internal estimates leaked from a recent ownership meeting, much of the WNBA's current revenue spike can be attributed directly to polarizing figures like Griner. That includes everything from jersey sales to streaming subscriptions to merchandise tied to her name. Moreover, there was a 24% increase in attendance on opening nights, while social media engagement skyrocketed and some games exceeded 30 million video views. Why? Because controversy sells. People tune in to love her or hate her, but they're tuning in. Griner's identity, tall, queer, married, formerly imprisoned, defiant, emotional, is everything media thrives on in 2025. She's clickable, she's quotable, she's the narrative, and the WNBA is catching in on every bit of it. They market her as a hero, a survivor, a fighter, but some fans now see something different, a ticking time bomb. Someone who can't control their temper, can't keep their story straight, and can't handle anyone else getting attention. For years, the WNBA emphasized its desire for greater visibility, stronger personalities, and star power that could elevate the league's profile. In Brittney Griner, they found all of that and more. But what initially looked like a perfect match is now proving to be a complicated gamble. By placing so much of the league's image on one player, especially one as controversial as Griner, the WNBA has had to absorb everything that comes with her presence. Her return brought admiration and support, but it also stirred backlash. With her came passionate fans, but also stark division. Every move she makes draws scrutiny, and every statement turns into a headline. From political baggage to on-court altercations, Griner has become the center of attention for reasons that often have little to do with basketball. At this point, Griner is more than just a player. She's become a reflection of the league's internal struggle. Her role raises uncomfortable questions. Does the WNBA value performance over publicity? Is it committed to uniting fans, or is it leaning into controversy for relevance? And most importantly, is it trying to grow into something new or just protect the status quo? The WNBA bet on Brittney Griner to be a symbol, and in many ways she is, just not the one they were prepared for. What do you think? Has Brittney Griner become more of a liability than a leader? Or is the league just riding the controversy as long as it pays? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more unfiltered takes. Thanks for watching.